Hey guys, Steve from Scrub Rips here again. Wanted to check in and do a little short video here, just to talk about one of the more exciting topics and great part of Pokemon that we have a big anniversary coming up in 2026. It is actually going to be the 30th anniversary of Pokemon, and I know it's not super new news, but there was an announcement that I specifically read off of PokeGuardian.com, and you may have seen it somewhere else. I had heard it just by word of mouth as well before mentioned, but Nintendo Creatures and Game Freak trademark, the Celebration Collection name. So that's kind of what people are seeing as a hint for a set that's upcoming in 2026 with the big anniversary coming up. So I just want to talk about a little bit of maybe what we think that might entail. What's that collection going to look like? To me, I know we recently did a big set, right? Scarlet and Violet 151, which was huge success, right? Big nostalgia vibes. And I thought it would be interesting if maybe Pokemon did something, maybe not in this specific celebration collection that's titled under, but along the lines of somewhere in the anniversary celebration that they release like a very similar thing to 151 for Gen 2, right? You have the Gen 2 starters and do, illustration rares with the starter lines and some of the big ones like some of the legendaries, right? You could do the Suicune, the Raikou, the Entei, right? I'm a huge Entei fan, but I also think I love Suicune too. A lot of the art that's come from that, the Crown Zenith or V-Star Universe, Galarian Gallery of Suicune, I think is one of the best arts that I've seen. I have it in both English and the Japanese set. I love that art. The Entei I thought was really cool, and I've always been a big fan of like the legendary dogs. But they could use that as a way also to get Lugia reintroduced again. I know we recently had a Ethan's Ho-Oh SAR, but it's a way we could get Lugia back in a big set. I just thought that would be really interesting. The Gen 2, because that's about the time that I kind of started to transition away from TCG collecting and started to get more into sports cards when I was younger. For anybody who remembers, MLB Showdown, great TCG. Didn't last a whole long time. I think it was, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years. I loved it. I loved all the different variations that they did. That was really cool. But back to my original point about the celebration collection potential, I think Gen 2 would be a great opportunity, right, to again hit that nostalgia, but again hit that for another generation, right? That generation that got into it right after I started transitioning out. I think as the community continues to age, whether we like to admit it or not, right? I think, I think celebrating those different generations, the subsequent ones, are great. We've already done the 151, like I said, just a few years ago. So I think this would be a great opportunity for Pokemon to revisit that. I would love it. I've been a big Typhlosion fan from the beginning. Not so much maybe some of that some of the lore that came out, I think, earlier this year or whatever. I don't know what that stuff is all about. That's kind of crazy. But I like more so from just like the video game of playing the gold and silver versions and the original collecting. I believe I have from the original Neo set a Typhlosion holographic in Japanese. And that's just like one of the coolest cards. One of the, that takes me back nostalgia wise. I love the style of those the Japanese cards back then, what they looked like. Um, kind of a different border and kind of a different depth of color in the card and all that compared to the English version. But I also had some of the original Neo cards, like a first edition Hollow Heracross and all that. Like that stuff really takes me back. And I know somebody else was mentioning recently about Pichu not getting a whole love. I think it was actually on a stream from Pack Flips. I follow them on Twitch and YouTube and TikTok with their live streams. If you haven't checked them out, go ahead, check them out. Awesome guys there. But I think it was Flips talking about how Pichu doesn't really get a whole lot of love, and it's true. I haven't seen a Pichu card in quite a while, ever since the Neo. But it would be awesome. Do something, maybe an SAR there. That's a potential, or even just an art rare. I think there's so much, like I said, Heracross. Maybe get that. I know Heracross has received a lot of attention in recent years, but maybe give them an SAR instead of just an art rare. I can't remember the set off the top of my head, but he was in an AR not too long ago, in the Scarlet and Violet era. So I think there's an immense opportunity there, but I wanted to come on here and kind of throw out my opinion on some cool ideas that maybe they could explore as part of the big celebration for the 30th anniversary. Let me know what you guys think. What would you like to see in that celebration collection? Would you like to see something similar to Celebrations back when they did variations of, or they essentially did a Celebrations version of a lot of these big well-known cards like the Gold Star Umbreon and the original base set Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise, or what else? The Mega Rayquaza, all these different ones, right? I think a Mewtwo EX and all that. Would you like to see something like that, or maybe something where it's kind of that nostalgia set, like a Gen 2, or maybe it's a more recent gen that you'd like to see them revisit and kind of update the arts and that sort of thing? I think it would be an awesome opportunity, but love to hear your guys' thoughts. Go ahead, drop the comments in the section below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're following us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at ScroRips. And you can check out our shop, scrowrips.com. And thanks for checking it out. Have a good one, guys. See ya.